reigns forever. Amen. 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 Don't you know he loves? Don't you know he loves? Don't you know he loves? Hallelujah. Worthy is the Lamb that died for me. We say, Woo. Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Listen. This is this first edition of Greg Talks. Actually broadcasting from my personal Facebook page. I'll switch over another time to Greg Talks page. So I want you to go ahead there now and go ahead and start sharing the video. We're coming up live shortly. With me is going to be none other than Uncle Reece. We're going to talk with him today about the man, the music, and the ministry. The man, the music, and the ministry. Hallelujah. So give me just let me take a few moments here. Get some people coming on. I want you to come on with us. Share the video. Tag your friends, your neighbors in the video as well. That he will be coming up here very shortly on our video, on our page with us, and we're going to talk to him. Amen. We're going to talk to him. I sent him give me just a few moments. I'm going to get some more Uncle Reece's music going for just a moment while we can try to get him on. Okay. Hallelujah. Worthy of the praise. There is none greater. King of all kings. Alpha and Omega. There is none like you. Hallelujah. So we worship. I say that I will love you forever, even if my life never gets better. Jesus, I will love you forever. Even if my life never gets better, let me tell you how they worship in the down. And if they on something, they got hands going. Let me tell you how they worship in the town. They can look at the phone with the track and it's still going down. Let me tell you how they worship in the party. They praise the name with no money. But the American worship, I said, they want to worship and everything is okay. So I said, will you even if your life was better, if it was better, will you love forever? Will you? Even if your life never gets better, let me tell you how I'm looking for They talk about love that I don't see. Well, Jesus. Okay. I'm trying to get Uncle Reece on here. Looks like he's having some technical difficulty logging on. So give me just a moment. I'll play a little more music. And while we can get him on, give me just a second. I'm going to step away for a second while the music is playing. And we're going to see what we can get going here. Hang on a second. Everybody hands go up. Lift them up to the sky like we got one more race. Shield me from the dark like a bulletproof vest. Love it, it get higher. When I let go, I ain't like a dying. You should try it, cause we dying. I figure if I paint a picture that looks like a roadmap. I figure if I paint a picture clear, you would get that. Try to swing back to the it's how you die for me. Don't say how you love me. It's a blessing. I worship it like I worship this feeling. My hands to the ceiling. I worship this feeling. I worship taking night. Try light. I need to heal it. I need that feeling. But if you're willing, do that thing that you did for my cousin who got out of jail and now he is running the business. Spirit, so we go to me and train her because I need help with my spiritual fitness. My homies don't get it. My girl say she will. You gotta try it, end up being me and back. Get the beat of the king with this Q&A. I just wanna be better and better. These words spoken, and then I feel it. My worship is healing everything that got my hands to the feeling. Head bound and kneeling, you want a wonderful feeling. My worship is healing. My hands to the feeling. Head bound and kneeling, you want a wonderful feeling. My worship is healing. Hands to the ceiling, now I'm in the center. Got my mind focused on worship more. Nothing else around me matters. All I'm focused on is my passion. My passion is my worship. My worship is my service. My heart is fixed on my purpose. My purpose. Watch me worship. Right. There he is.
What's up, man?
There he is. Wow.
Oh wow, everything is like opposite.
Uncle Reece, what's up, man?
What's up, my brother? Man, I'm chilling, man.
Man, it's all good. It's all good. I'm trying to figure out who's in his own mind or yours. We have these technical difficulties, man. I don't know. One of us, or both of us might not know what we're doing, right?
Hallelujah. But we're gonna figure it out though. Hallelujah.
Yeah, we're gonna make it work, man. How things going?
Oh, I'm good, man. I was saying in the words of the great poet Kendrick Lamar, we're gonna be all right. Hallelujah.
I know that's right, man. I know that's right. I know that's right. So how things going in Jacksonville?
Man, they going good, man. The weather is clear. Um, People are with their families. A lot of people took the quarantine serious. So man, we in good shape here,
Yeah.
man. We still eating good, still living good.
And you got a gym in the house, right?
A what?
You got a gym in the house, right?
Yeah, uh-huh. A full gym.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I thought.
I'm working
Think
out.
I think I almost need one of them right about now.
I'm trying to tell you,
I had
yeah,
a
got
I had a
got to
doctor's
work.
appointment last week. I had one of those telephone doctor's appointment last week, and I told him I was glad he couldn't wake me over the phone.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy about the telephone point. I feel like I could just go to WebMD for that, but hey,
Yeah, exactly. The
I
doctor still got to get paid, man.
yeah, but I feel like if we do it over the phone, then my bill should be
Yeah, but
cut.
it was all
It's like it's a bad lag on
in there,
your
right?
end. I don't know if it's the internet or what. It's bad.
Yeah, I look like I'm getting the same thing from you as well. So I don't know which end it's on for real. But that's what I'm look
Okay.
like we're getting a kind of a drag here. Yeah. Listen, man. I just got you on the line. A few things just a few things I want to talk about. First of
Okay.
all, I'll talk about I'm about to see, and I scroll this across the bottom of the screen.
Man, boy, you doing
Yeah, there
it
we
big.
go.
I
On the
see
Reece,
you,
the man.
brother.
I'm trying to grow up, man. You know, this quarantine is making me grow up with
Yeah.
technology. So
Yeah.
I'm learning a whole lot with this technology. So it's taking a little time. It took us a minute to get on, but we're gonna get there. I think what I know without a shadow of doubt that God has given us time to figure some things out and to learn some new stuff. And
Yeah.
we're also live streaming right now on YouTube. So we're doing a dual stream. So um, we're just glad to have you on, man. Like I said, I want to talk to you about the man, the music, and the ministry. So tell
Hallelujah.
tell audience a little bit about. Tell
Okay.
our audience a little bit.
I'm Uncle Reece, the owner of WithoutJesusISuck.com. I don't know if you've ever seen those shirts to say "Without Jesus I Suck," but we've sold a little bit over maybe like 100,000 of them. Done a little bit. Also, a Billboard recording artist, Billboard chart and recording artist. I've had my 4 top 30 Billboard hit concerning my music. So I've been blessed. I'm a husband. I'm also a motivational speaker. And I'm just somebody who's a follower of God who has seen the blessings of God just overtake my life in crazy ways.
Wow, awesome, man, awesome. So great man. I had the opportunity to meet you a few years ago, and just just could see spiritually that you a true person of God, and genuine and serious when it comes to the works of the Lord. And that's something that we can appreciate, and definitely we need in the body of Christ in these days. So music, how long you been doing music?
I've been doing music professionally since 2014. That's when my first album came out. Um, but before that, it was more so of a hobby. But 2014 is when I kind of shifted my focuses on doing this full time and really giving my all to it. So I would say professionally, 2014. It'd be June 6th, 2014.
Oh, great. So you hadn't been doing it professionally all that long when we met, and I know my daughter was loving you a while back, and she would be talking to me about Uncle Reece, and I'm thinking, who in the world is Uncle Reece?
Yeah,
You know, and yeah, you're talking to a teenager.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm wondering who is this she?
Yeah, people, because the name Uncle Reece, like in the South where I'm from, like if they put uncle in front of your name, it's like a term of respect. Kind of like it's like if you got an old
Mhm.
soul, you know, they call you Uncle Reece. So I've been Uncle Reece since I've been 12. It's kind of name people gave me, you know, because they say I had an old soul, you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so one day she called up with me and she started showing me a video of this worship until I pass out.
yeah,
And I sat and I watched the video and saying, "Oh, okay, so this is Uncle Reece." And him as this kid might be on to something right here, you know. So
yeah,
so
yeah,
that really struck me, man. You know, that really struck me.
yeah.
And
That struck
it
me
was,
too,
I think,
man. That was a crazy video, man. It really was.
yeah, the song itself, man, was like just listening to the wording, was quite amazing to me as well. You know, so we got on to reach the man. Grew up all over the place, correct?
Yeah, my father was in the military, so I've lived in Korea, I've lived in Germany, I've lived in maybe 10 states in the United States, and then my dad retired here in Florida in Jacksonville. So this kind of like my first home. So I just kind of rep Jacksonville because it's where I grew up, my first stable place that I ever lived, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And let me tell us about high school.
Oh, high school, man. High school was that was tough, man. You know, I had a lot of fun, you know. I had a whole lot of fun. That's why I was there 5.5 years, you know. But like I say, man, you know,
So you had so much fun,
I had so much fun I ain't want to leave, you know. But you know, God is good, you know. I had some fun by the grace of God, you know. Has some scares, man, but by the grace of God, made it out of there with no kids. Amen. But like I say, that's why I have a song called "He Found Me in My Mess," where I talk about everything that I experienced in high school. And me, I'm glad I experienced all that stuff young, because I got, by the time I was 21 years old, like I was tired, man, you know. So that's when God found me in my mess. And
yeah.
so I got a chance to do all that dumb stuff while I was a kid still. So I got saved a lot earlier than a lot of my friends. You know, a lot of my friends, they're just now getting
Wow.
saved like in their 30s. So for me, you know, and that's crazy because I actually, I'm working on a project right now, and on the project I have a song called 10 years ago, where I'm having a conversation.
Yeah.
If I could have a conversation with myself 10 years ago, these are the things that I would have wanted me to know. And in the song I said, the sacrifices that you made, I love this life I'm living today, and I'm grateful. You had my back, and I'm so thankful. See, when I came into the knowledge of God at 20 years old, I never was taught about making
Mhm.
a 10 or 15 or 20-year plan. But the first thing that God's wisdom allowed me to do was to prepare for when I get 30, when I get 40, when I get 50. You know, right now I'm thinking of the 40-year-old me right now, because there's a 40-year-old version of me that's counting on me to make the right decisions now. And so when I was 20 years old, when I gave my
Wow.
life to God, when I stepped away from the foolishness, when I began to cling on to the principles of God, even as even desiring a wife, that's something like I wasn't even wise enough to do back then, but I read it in the Bible, and I believe that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. And from the day that I gave my life to God to 10 years later, I didn't have sex the whole time. And you know, people are like, man, how'd you do? How'd you do this?
Wow.
But the pain and the heartbreak and the things that I didn't go through because I followed God. So I made a song called 10 years ago where um it's kind of funny, but I at the beginning of the verse, I'm basically having a conversation with myself, and I'm like, hey, thank you for multiple streams of income. The work you did bought me this house and keep the lights on. You know, where I'm just thanking myself because at 20 years old, like I made some sacrifices that, you know, I didn't even understand the dividends of what they would pay off by following God, but I sacrificed. And so I'm, but I'm thankful, and I kind of accredit it to the fact that my parents were bold enough to admit that I wasn't a Christian young and tell me that I got to find God. They're going to present God to me, but I have to find him for myself. So I bounced around during them high school years, but by the time I was 21, by the time I was ready to really be grown, like I found God. And bro, that's the answer there. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff I ain't go through, you know what I'm saying? Because I was with God.
Right. Yeah, and I remember I remember hearing you say that before about how your parents told you about church and whatnot. That it wasn't just about church, but you got to make up your mind to have a relationship with God on your own, and they just stopped letting you go to church.
Yeah, because my brother was an atheist and my sister, she hated God. Like she hated church folks. They didn't want nothing to do with the church. And so my parents, I was the youngest, they were like, hey, dragging him to church every day, that junk don't work anyway. Like, let's not raise another kid who hates God or who knows all the Bible verses in the world but don't have a real relationship with God. Because a lot of their peers, they said, man, they kids ain't even saved. They just in church every day. They still having sex, still doing everything they not supposed to. They just some fake Christians. And my parents, they said, man, they don't want that for me.
Wow.
And so my parents sat me down. They said, hey, look, you know all the scriptures, you know all the verses, but you don't know God. Like you don't have a relationship with God. So this is what we're gonna do. Like we're gonna present God to you. There's a mandate you gotta live godly in this house. There's things we ain't gonna allow here because we children of God, but like we're not gonna make you be a Christian. Like we're not gonna force you to
Wow.
pretend. We're not gonna take you through the Christian rhetoric and you're not even a Christian. It's like because they was like,
Wow.
bro, we don't need another fake Christian in this world. We don't need a person who we drag to God so hard that they end up hating God. And so they allowed me to explore religion on my own. You know what I mean? Like, but what they did instead of making me go to
Yeah.
church, they turned up for God in front of me. Like I began to see them begin to worship in the mornings. They begin to read the Bible together. They begin to actually be Christians in front of me rather than making me do Christian stuff. And so, even though I wasn't a Christian, I got a chance to see Christians in front of me, like live in full effect. Like I didn't learn none of the fake church stuff. Like I didn't learn how to pretend I'm on my best behavior. Like I never learned any of that. And my parents, they were bold enough to allow me to be a bad kid. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
they just let me be a bad kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So,
but
so,
this
so
my
in other
thing.
words,
This my thing.
yeah.
I was the exact
Okay.
opposite. So like a lot of young people, right, that are raised in the church, when they turn 18, they go buck wild. I went buck wild at about
Okay.
13. So by the time I was 21, I was done. I was like, I'm straight. I done been out there. I'm good. I'm gonna just chill right here. Yeah, instead, I got friends who, I was like, boy, y'all were busting the church down open. What y'all doing in the club? And I'm talking about going buck wild. It's better to go buck wild when all you got is a $10 allowance versus when you get to college. Man, shoot, you know?
So it changed things in your life for the better because basically what I hear you saying is they took you out of their hands and put you in God's hands.
Period. Yeah. And that takes trust to do that for your kids.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. That really take some real faith and real trust in God
Yeah.
in order to do that. Now, let's talk about the ministry because one thing I've heard about you is that you do a lot of ministry. I've actually seen you walk through stores and walk through parking lots in neighborhoods that some people don't even want to drive through, let alone walk through. But I've seen you walk through parking lots and stuff and pray with people and minister to people. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that's the gospel. That's the true nature of what we're supposed to do. Like, we all have different jobs, but one job that we all have in common is we're supposed to go out throughout the world preaching the gospel. That's the Holy Commission. So whether you're a pastor, whether you're a singer, whether you're a firefighter, a policeman, a teacher, whatever you are, your job is still to present the gospel. So I don't allow the fact that I have a national platform to get in the way of what my daily job is. So like if I'm, if I'm at Walmart, if I'm shopping or something, like if I feel, the Holy Spirit or something tell me to go talk to somebody, I just do it, because you never know what your obedience will produce. And so I make it a goal, like even when I'm out of town, like doing shows or something, I always try to witness to somebody at the hotel. I try to witness to somebody at the restaurant, because you never know who is one conversation from making a commitment to God. So we got to be willing to do that. And I think sometimes in our Christianity, we actually box God into a ceremony, like a church ceremony, or like, there's a time and a place for that. But nah, it's not a time and a place. Like that'd be the same as me saying, hey, you know, it's a time and a place to protect women and children. Like, no, you protect them all the time,
Mhm.
wherever they are. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what it
Right.
is with the gospel. And the crazy part is, like, when we tell people these stories about, man, Reese will go up to somebody and just start talking about God. I'm like, that's actually normal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy that that's not a part of your Christian walk. Like, you weren't taught to do that. It's like weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's definitely part of Christian life, and definitely appreciate all that you in ministry, man. It's absolutely amazing. And I heard you say earlier that you was doing this new music, about having a conversation with yourself 10 years ago,
Yeah,
in preparations for you trying to prepare yourself now for when you reach 40 years old. So
exactly.
basically you've been doing this for quite a time, as a young person. So what would you say to a young person today has that aspiration to enter into music as well as ministry?
If you're gonna enter into music, the number one question you're gonna have to ask yourself is, do I want to be rich or do I want to be famous? Like, you're gonna have to ask yourself that,
Wow.
because you're gonna have to make a decision. And a lot of people, especially when you're young, they want you to choose fame. So what they do, they'll give you all the fame you want, but that paperwork is gonna always be in their favor. So I would say, myself, I chose to be wealthy rather than being famous. So, like, what you'll learn about is what's real. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you see how I live, man, and you see the things that I've put in
Yeah.
place for my family, and you see what I've done. But see, so I've never been a part of a record label. And because,
Hmm.
one thing about it is, when you are approached by a record label, is different than when you go out and search for a deal. So I figured,
Right.
my first record deal that I was offered, the total amount was $505,000. So I figured, I learned about the business, and I was like, okay, anytime they give you any money, they're gonna try to make 700% a return off of whatever money they give you. So I figured, if they offering me
Hmm.
505,000, then that means I gotta be worth close to $4 million for this music that I have. And so I made a decision. I said, okay, you know what? I'm probably not gonna blow up as much as I would if I was a part of this record label. But if I could just make
Hmm.
25% of that, I'd be straight. And so I chose to keep
Yeah.
100% ownership of my music, and I just begin to push it myself. And so the thing is, you don't necessarily get the same looks as other people, but your bank account look different than a lot of your favorite artists. So that's one thing that you have to remember. And nowadays, with the shift in the culture and stuff, a lot of the work that the labels do for you, you can actually do for yourself if you have a real work ethic. So, number one question you have to ask yourself is, what are you trying to accomplish out of life? Like, are you trying to make a living, or do you just want to be very popular? And I think that's something that we all have to ask ourselves as artists, especially early on when we getting into it. Like, do you want to have a foundation of wealth and something solid to stand on financially, or are you looking for a huge platform, or do you want to be heard? And some people, if you don't necessarily care about the financial foundation, you just really want to be heard, then that's okay too. But I chose to have a foundation.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So one of the question about that as well for the young people that's aspiring, well, young or whatever, it doesn't really matter because some people are late bloomers. But the fact is, how committed a person need to be when they make up their mind to do this?
You have to be committed, just like you have to be committed to becoming a doctor, or you have to be committed to becoming an attorney. Like, you have to be committed to your craft, especially as an artist. I'm always studying new trends. Like today, before I watched this video, I purchased a course on how to do Facebook and Instagram advertisements and sponsorships, and learning about new technologies at all times, and going out of my way to make relationships with people that do coding, make relationships with dancers, singers, because if you want to do this serious, you have to be committed. Like, for one, you have to be committed to finding mentors in the industry that will give you insight on questions you're not even smart enough to ask. So some people just feel like, man, you get to just make a good song and that's the end of it. Nah, that's actually the smallest part, because there's so much more that goes into the making the music. Is like, that's really like 50% of the work, making the music. So you have to be definitely committed to your craft. You have to be committed to learning about the business. You got to be committed to learning about the artistry, the technology. I mean, you have to be very committed, because even if it's something you haven't mastered, you still need to know how to hold people accountable that are working for you.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. That's good. And I know that on your album Bold, there's a song that you got on there called Where I Belong, and
exactly.
and and I think that song counts as talking about the commitment that you made, to perfecting, should I say, the music that you wanted to do. You wanted everything to be the way that it needed to minister to people, that the way that it needs to minister. And personally, in listening to your music, I've discovered that there's a lot of ministry in the words. I don't just listen to the sound, or I don't just listen to the beats. Pay close attention to the words, and I've discovered there's a lot of ministry in that.
Yeah, definitely. Where I Belong, that song talks about, having this vision of where God can take you, but understanding what you actually have the power to participate in at the time. So, like, for instance, like, as soon as um I decided that I was going to take music seriously, I saw myself where I am today. I saw myself on the road. I saw myself with influence. I saw myself in arenas, filling places. I saw people all around the world listening to my music. But the reality was, the things that I saw, I did not have access to. I knew God would take me there, but I only had access to the Dollar Tree to go get a notepad. I didn't even have enough money to get to the studio. I didn't have enough money to record myself. I didn't have enough money
Yeah.
to even record myself at the quality that I saw in my mind. And so what I did is I said, okay, instead of doing like most people, where I just get my homeboy to, do me something and blah blah blah. No, I went and I got that notepad and I wrote the most beautiful melodies, the most beautiful songs. I recorded them on my phone because that's all I had at the time, and I perfected those songs until I linked up with one of my boys who graduated from Full Sail University, which is a very prestigious engineering school in Florida, and I linked up with him. I made a song, but what I didn't do, like most artists, I made a single and then I made an album. No, I had, until I passed out that one song, I worked that song for almost 3 years before I made the album. I made that song the biggest song in the game before I even went on to produce a record. And I feel like sometimes, as artists, we don't stick with what works long enough before we go to something else. You know what I mean? So that song is really about,
Yeah.
hey, you perfect what you have, and keep your eyes on what you can, but don't do nothing before it's time, because you're gonna have to come back and do it anyway. Over.
Wow. Okay. So that's good stuff, man. And I certainly appreciate you doing this with us today. But I got people watching, and I'm looking at two different venues, and I was trying to get my audience involved. But what I'm going to want to do is I want to talk with you some more at a later date.
Okay.
You know, as we stated earlier when we first came on, that we're trying to perfect some things. We're looking at some things. You know, okay, so my daughter just brought me something else I can look at, so I can see some people involved. And I see here's a young lady that went to a church I used to pastor years ago, and she says this. She said, "Your music really touches my soul. It lifts my spirit, makes me praise Him even when I'm down. May the Lord continue to bless you and your ministry." That's Holman out of Choctaw County, Alabama. You know, but this is the thing that she's saying to you today, and
Wow.
other people are speaking as well. And somebody said, Jennifer Lively said she wants you to sing a song.
Tell her she gonna have to stream the album. But I got some new music coming.
There are a lot of people. I got some people too who actually were at the level when you came through there one morning a couple of years ago, and impressed us there, man. Yeah. Yeah, they and people there are still talking about you now, man. They still talking about that day. You know, I still hear people talking about that because there were so many lives that was blessed by that, and we definitely appreciate that. You know, so I wanted to ask my audience that's listening if anyone had a question that they wanted to ask you before we go, so that you direct to them as well.
Okay.
So any of you guys have a question that you want to ask Uncle Reece, go ahead and do that. Besides sing a song, he said stream the album if you want to get a song. So yes, they wanted. General Ladder came back again and said, "Can you sing a song?" You know, we talked earlier about the ministry, but I remember a young lady who was there at the Loveday Center, and she was getting ready to graduate, and she asked me, could I get to come to her graduation? And I told her that may not be possible, but what you did was made a video to send to her, and we presented it to her at her graduation. Yeah, and that I'm telling you, that really blessed her. She was so appreciative. But we got a lot of our audience out there looking and listening. Jennifer Bass and Tremel Chambray, who's is our minister of education at our church. You know, Melanie Jenkins. Also, I think you took pictures with her when you came to our church as well. But we just appreciate you doing this, man. You know, we do two things here. You know, I appreciate you helping me get my talk show up and running, even though it wasn't perfected. But I'm gonna treat this the way you treated worship till I pass out. I'm gonna do it until we get it right.
You work it, keep working it. Yeah.
We're gonna keep it, and I'm so appreciative because we have some. I'm really to develop some faithful followers and faithful listeners, and I definitely appreciate all of them because a lot of them are on now because we made the announcement that we were going to be on with you today. So a lot of them are on now. I don't know where they are. You know, some of them are locked in, some of them are at work still, some people still, because some people are still essential. They got to get out there, and we definitely appreciate them for all that they do. But we want to do this again. Brittany Patillo said, "Hard in the paint."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We want to do this again, man. In the near future, when I'm going to keep working this stuff, and we're going to get it. It's going to be lit up. It's going to be lit. So I'm not concerned. As I'm already working on speeding up the internet. I already done that because I'm doing a lot of live streaming now. So we want to be we want to do that. Because again, we're doing Facebook Live and YouTube Live all at the same time. So we want to make everything, get everything perfected. You'll see a lot of more when we get back again. You'll see a lot of bells and whistles on there than you see now. But one other thing, and I know we talked about commitment, and we talked about your music, and you said you got some new music out, and you know we were talking about that the other day as well. You were telling me about the song that you were just talking about a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Have that conversation with yourself 10 years ago. But tell the audience what you are doing while sheltered in place, because we talked about the commitment. So
Yeah.
what you doing while you're sheltered in place?
I'm making more music. I'm working out. Just taking this time to really develop, you know, my catalog, develop my talent, and really develop my body. Like this is a great time where you can exercise every day. This is a great time where you can work on things that you haven't had time to work on because life has just been so much. So for me, I'm just trying to produce as much music as I can in this season because, you know, when we're not in this season, you know, the hustle and bustle of life is just so great. So during this time is a time to create, you know, create, produce, so that when you do come out of this quarantine, you'll have enough content, enough work to really keep yourself occupied for the next 2 years.
Wow, now that's awesome. I think that's called vision. You know,
Yeah,
that's called vision. You know, we get ready to close here, I wanted to do something because you mentioned earlier about how God found you in your mess, and
yeah,
I just want to give our audience a little bit of that. Let them see, let them
yeah.
hear a little bit of that song. You know, I want to encourage everybody, if you can, go ahead and stream music. You know, it's out there. Personally, I'll be buying it all. You know, I
Yeah.
ain't trying to hijack it, pirate it, or anything like that. Yeah, let me just give them just a little bit of this. I didn't graduate on time, hanging out instead of getting my lessons. Unemployed with a plan for the future, platforms. Cause I'm living in sin with my girlfriend that might be pregnant. 18 years old, looking back, life for me was messy. I'm thinking in my head. That's where he found me. He found me in the mess. That's where he found me in my mess. That's where he found me in my mess. That's where he picked me up. Yeah, I just want to give them just a little bit of that, and tell Jennifer Lively, there go your song.
There you go.
Yeah, so man, again, thank you so much for joining us
Oh
today.
man, it's my pleasure, man. You got
I
a
look
brother and a
forward.
friend in me.
Yes, sir. I look forward to doing this again sometime soon. You know, and more about the music that you're developing, and such. So, man, tell Carrie we say hello,
Hey, Moselle, tell Rose
and tell the dogs hello too.
Oh yeah, we got it's 3 of them in the family. We got 4 of them. But one of them is,
3.
yeah, we got 3 Frenchies now. There's 4 Frenchies right here currently. One of them is sold, but it's been at our house because we haven't been able to drop it off since all this started. So we've had this extra dog for like 2 months now. So I'm ready for Lieutenant Dan to get up out of here. But I'm ready for him to go.
Bo got taken over, huh?
Boy, Bo don't like them puppies, man. Bo be trying to jump on tables and stuff so they can't get to him.
I heard that. But man, you be blessed, and I'll be talking with you real soon. I appreciate you. Thank you again for coming on with us today.
Love you,
all right,
man.
God
Peace.
Bless. Peace out, man.
Yo.
Love you. And all my audience say they love you as well. All right, guys. Appreciate Uncle Reece sharing with us today. God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the first edition of Greg Greg Talks. Even though I had to stream it from my personal page today, we'll be working on this stuff in the future, and we're going to make it all happen, and it's going to be perfected. Hallelujah. God bless. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to share the video. Do your watch party, tag your friends. God bless.